I don't know about you, but I often wonder why it is that children come in filled with a natural exuberance and energy for this life. Not ever wanting to go to bed and feeling like anything is possible. Where does that energy and natural joy come from? And why is it that as we age, we lose the energy and enthusiasm? And is this absolutely necessary? Because we all know people who are able to retain a childlike enthusiasm and energy for life versus those who have been disillusioned and worn down by it. I'm Nachum, and through my own personal search for answers on how to live on planet Earth, I've discovered secrets, breakthroughs in nutritional science, and leading-edge practices in personal development that can be translated into practical tools to not only maintain that natural exuberance and energy for life, but also to help us become the best versions of ourselves. In this episode, I want to share with you what most people don't know about how energy works in the body. When most people think about energy, they think about physical energy and fitness. While I've always been fit, I didn't start working out until after my first experience with grief and sorrow. Like many people, when I was young, my family fell apart. I sunk into a deep depression with no drive to do anything, no motivation, no life purpose. Back then, I wasn't moving out of joy. I was moving, actually running to forget all that was going on in my life. I then turned to martial arts, where I could let out all my anger and rage into the punching bag or a sparring session. It was the first time in my life where I experienced fitness as a form of release, a healthy way to take what I was feeling and pass it through my body instead of holding it in and repressing it. It wasn't until I started moving through my emotional pain that I found surfing, and that's when my exuberance for life returned. There's no better feeling than working hard to get in that perfect position where the wave lifts you up and you feel like you're floating on water, and all you can do is surrender to its flow. Surfing got me back into a state of wonder, and wonder is what got me interested in the miraculous nature that surrounded me, and wanting to understand how I was a part of it. What I've discovered is that the human body and cells are nothing short of a miracle. Our metabolism is composed of hundreds of trillions of chemical reactions happening every second of our lives, all day long, all year long, non-stop, and it must occur in perfect harmony for us just to exist and scroll on our phones, solve a complex math problem, create a child, paint a painting, and climb Mount Everest. However you choose to use your energy, what you probably don't know is that the molecular unit of currency necessary for our 50 trillion living cells is called ATP, aka adenosine triphosphate, and that you must incredibly produce your own body weight in ATP every single day to be alive and live the good life. That's just one of the amazing feats your body has to perform just to function. For many nutrients to work in your body, they must be attached to a methyl group, a small molecule of 1 carbon and 3 hydrogens. And your body must produce 2 billion methyl groups every second of your life. That's 2 billion right now, right now, right now. Your immune system is like a second brain. It must identify outside invaders that it's never seen before, be able to read them, and then produce antibodies made specifically to destroy them. And maybe the most amazing of all is your DNA. It's made up of 4 nucleic acids. Each nucleic acid is like a letter, and your DNA is a code that is 3.4 billion letters long. This code has the information that creates you, your life. But what people don't realize, and what science has proven in the last few decades, is that all this doesn't happen on its own. You have a critical role to play. While you may inherit your genes with both the weaknesses and strengths of your ancestry, you can affect what gets activated. It's even a whole field of science called epigenetics. Our thoughts, emotions, lifestyle, environmental and dietary choices can influence what genes are and are not activated. When you first look at a sheet of music, it may just look like dots on a page, but if you learn how to read music, you can create chords, melodies, and with the mastery of this language, you can compose whole symphonies. In the same way, by understanding the language of biochemicals and nutrients, I found that you could literally intervene and talk to your DNA, turning genes on and off. Instead of just preventing disease, we can biohack the body to have more energy, more focus, and better mood, stronger immunity, less inflammation, and deeper sleep. All with natural compounds. You can compose gorgeous melodies of harmony and vitality rather than of discord and disharmony. At its basis, life for us humans needs energy for all of these amazing chemical reactions to happen. In fact, every cell must make its own energy and can't borrow energy from somewhere else or another cell. But not all energy is created equal, as we have discovered on planet Earth. Here, we have solar panels that mostly generate clean energy. And then, as we know, there can be ways of getting energy that depletes the planet and pollutes the system. Likewise, there are ways of stimulating energy in the body that support your health versus ways that hijack your body, pump you up momentarily, but depletes you. To understand how to increase your energy naturally, you first need to understand how energy creation happens within the body. You may have heard about the Krebs cycle in a boring biology class. Boring probably because, like in most schools, subjects are separated. We aren't taught to make connections. Biology is not connected to nutrition, to our consciousness, or behavior, even our history of food production. But once we connect the dots, we can have true understanding and then have choice and an opportunity on how to use that information. Because once you know how energy production works in the body and what role vitamins and nutrients play, you have the key to true biological power. In the early 1900s, a disease called pellagra plagued the South and killed thousands of people because they were primarily eating cornmeal and pork and not getting enough niacin, also known as vitamin B3. That's why many governments now require vitamins to be added to grains, and why you see things like enriched flour. Supplements should not be called supplements because they are actually essential to life. It's what caused them to create the RDA, or recommended daily amount of vitamins and minerals, to tell people the minimal amount of nutrients they need as to not get a deficiency. Minimal potencies are a far cry from what we need when we want to have optimal energy. Just as pure oil from the ground can't be used to power your car, it needs to be processed in order for you to use it. The same is true for vitamins. Your liver is in most cases the organ of nutrient activation. It's where the food form of vitamins are biologically activated to become the coenzyme versions that could be used by the body. That's just one of the many reasons why it's so important to keep your liver healthy. The entire process of energy creation is called cellular respiration and happens in 3 steps to create ATP. When you know how this works, you'll know what you need to ensure that you have the energy you want. Adenosine triphosphate is an adenosine group with 3 phosphates attached. It's the energy currency that powers 95% of your metabolism, or the trillions of biochemical reactions needed for life. How does it produce energy? 3 phosphates together is a very unstable bond, so when the 3rd phosphate breaks off, it releases energy. The whole cellular respiration process is to get the 3rd phosphate neatly attached back to the 2 phosphates. ADP, adenosine diphosphate, to reproduce ATP so that it can release energy again in this never-ending metabolic cycle necessary for life. In the first step, glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm part of the cell, where a single molecule of glucose from carbs is broken into 3-part carbon molecules called pyruvates. The pyruvates, with the help of lipoic acid and the bioactive form of vitamin B5, also known as pantothenic acid, are able to form acetyl-CoA, which kickstarts the second part of the energy creation process, called the Krebs cycle. If your body is low on carbs, and thus glucose, it can convert fat into ketones, which also can be used in the Krebs cycle. You may have heard of the keto diet. It's based on using ketones as your fuel instead of glucose. This is where the main action occurs inside the mitochondria, aka the powerhouse of your cells. Did you know that you have an average 1,000 to 2,000 mitochondria in every single cell of your body? All 50 trillion of them? An amazing 20% of your body weight is made up of mitochondria. It's that important. So vital is mitochondria to our lives. Besides the nucleus of the cell, it's the only part of the cell that has its own DNA, which contains the blueprints to grow new mitochondria and to repair any damage. In fact, scientists have coined mitochondrial theory of aging as they found mitochondria dysfunction to be at the core of aging. That's how critical energy generation is to our life. Remember niacin, vitamin B3? Well, when it's bioactivated, converted in the body into the coenzyme active form, it becomes NAD+, short for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It's the superstar player in the Krebs cycle. As a highly unstable oxidant with a positive charge, it needs an electron to become stabilized. Those hydrogen ions attach to create NADH, and it's the process of NADs pulling hydrogen ions that generate the momentum to begin the 3rd and final stage of energy creation, the electron transport sidechain, where most of the ATP is minted. 38 ATP in total, from only one molecule of glucose or ketones. This happens when tons of hydrogen ions are pumped into the membrane-bound compartment of the mitochondria. The protons build up quite dramatically until all of a sudden reverse their direction and escape back across the membrane. The protons burst out of the compartment, releasing their energy, which in 4 steps use coenzyme Q10 to reattach the third phosphate to the spent ADP, recycling it back to the ATP. As you can see, NAD+ becoming NADH is essential in energy production and has also become the holy grail of anti-aging research because NAD levels drop as you age. It is a smart youthful aging strategy to keep your NAD+ levels high. CoQ10 is also a key player in the final minting of ATP. You may have thought that oxygen is needed to fuel the body, and you'd be right. The final step, where the third phosphate is attached to create ATP, can't happen without oxygen. Just like a vehicle, however, when you use energy, you also produce exhaust, in our case, free radicals, that can destroy cells. It's glutathione, a compound created from L-cysteine that neutralizes these free radicals and protects your mitochondria. Also, magnesium is necessary for 6 of the 8 steps of this process. One of the single most important minerals for your body, magnesium, is what's needed for over 300 enzymatic processes in your body. It's vital for healthy bones, nerves, muscles, and the heart, as it helps control blood sugar and blood pressure and allows your muscles to relax. In all of these transactions, B vitamins and magnesium are the necessary cofactors for enzymes that break down glucose for energy. You are a massive energy-producing machine. Your whole metabolism is made to generate trillions of chemical reactions that are needed every second of your life, so much so that you have to produce unbelievably your entire body weight in ATP every day. The problem is that because of soil depletion, much of our food no longer has the vitamins and minerals that we need, and most people don't take enough of the needed amounts of nutrients in the body through their meals every day. So here's a summary of the critical nutrients you need to have healthy energy. Because without energy, you can't run your metabolism properly. You need glucose, fatty acids, acetylcarnitine to help get fat into the mitochondria, lipoic acid, vitamin B5 to make CoA that kicks off the Krebs cycle, magnesium, vitamins B2, riboflavin, and B3 to run it. B3 becomes NADH, and B2 becomes FADH, which starts the electron transport side chain. CoQ10 and oxygen run the electron transport side chain to protect the mitochondria, which is made up of fatty acids like your cell membrane, which are prone to oxidation. You need antioxidants like cysteine and vitamin C to protect it from the very free radicals produced in this energy generation process. And better yet, PQQ and magnesium help to build new mitochondria to replace dysfunctional ones. Energy needs to be cultivated, especially if you are going through something stressful, working hard or working out. In future episodes, I'll be covering how stress, digestion, and the adrenals affect energy as well. While we're young, we can take energy for granted, but soon we find that physical energy affects emotional energy, which affects mental energy, and vice versa. It's all connected. If you don't give your body a good physical foundation, it's very hard to have the emotional and mental energy to deal with the adversities of life. So when people ask me what to take for great energy to sustain them throughout the day in a healthy way, I always tell them to make sure they have a good multivitamin with all the ingredients I mentioned, in significant potencies. The multivitamin should also provide added support for your liver, as most vitamins don't work in your body in the food or supplement form, unless they are also then converted in the liver into the active coenzyme form. As for my favorite recipes that are both delicious but also nourish the body, click on the video below to watch my episode on some simple and delicious meals that will give you energy. I hope this information has inspired you to know just how magnificent your body is and shined a light on how energy creation happens within the body. With this knowledge comes literal power. I hope you know that you have the agency to give your body what it needs so that you have the energy to live a magnificent life. And please subscribe if you want more content that connects the dots when it comes to science, biology, nutrition, and the life you want to live.